we would like to extend the warmest of birthdays to Kylo Ren himself, Adam Driver. Hello, cult members. Welcome to the Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And that's right. Adam Driver is birthday today, and he turned, I think he's 86.
Really?
He feels like 86 because he's got an old soul.
All right.
You know, he spent time in the military, then became an actor, and then he's
he's had a full life already.
Yeah. And then he was on Girls, which is just gonna age you as it is. So.
Wow. Girls make you old? Is that?
That show could make you old. Yeah.
All right.
He was on For Your Consideration with Collider last week.
Right.
Talk about Black Klansman, and that dude's intense.
Yeah. Yep.
And funny. Like, he's a funny dude. He's just like
dry.
He's just very dry and stuff.
Yeah.
We would like to welcome you to our big show. This is our long-form conversation that we have. Usually movie news. We do have some gaming news today that I felt was worth talking about, since we talked about E3 quite a bit this last year.
Is it Red Dead Redemption 2?
It is not Red Dead Redemption 2. However, it does have to deal with the platform for that game. We ask you to do two things on. We do this out of the kindness of our hearts, because we love to give, and we ask very little in return. One, we ask you to subscribe to the subscribe.
Sure.
We ask you to subscribe to the channel. It's really easy. You hit the button, and you can hit the bell so you get notifications. We're uploading all kinds of stuff, like movie reviews and trailer reactions and all that kinds of stuff. And then the other thing that we ask is, you're sitting around your other friends and they're talking about social media stupidness or whatever, and you're like, I'm done listening to you guys argue about something stupid on social media. Why don't you watch these two idiots talk about movies?
Right.
And we may not know everything about movies, but we're more than a casual fan. We can go fairly deep. Sometimes. And then other times we're like, I have no idea. Because we're still learning. We're still in the process. So subscribe to the channel. Share with your friends. That's all we ask. And so it's not that hard, I don't think.
Right.
Please do. We're going to start off with saying fuck cancer.
Right.
And the first story we're actually going to talk about, Princess Bride writer. I'm actually going to show you. We actually have a copy. Because we're those people.
Yes, it is a book.
It is an actual look. It's actually a book. It's not on a Kindle or a phone. You actually have to read this. You can't just put it up to your ear and see if you can listen to it. No, you can't hear anything.
The guy who does audiobooks all the time.
I'm actually listening to an audiobook right now. But the guy who wrote Princess Bride, William Goldman, died of cancer last week. He had been battling cancer for quite a while, and took a turn for the worse over the summer. And it kind of hits a little closer to home because we lost a friend today to cancer, who had much the same thing. William Goldman, if you don't know, is one of those guys you're like, oh my God, he's done everything.
Really?
And you didn't really know. He wrote The Princess Bride. He wrote the book, and then he wrote the screenplay for the movie.
Right.
That movie is probably in my top 5 of favorite movies of all time.
Yes. He can recite.
I could pretty much do the whole movie. I'm a little out of practice with it, but I will, if it pops up on TV, I'll watch it, whatever. He also wrote the original screenplay for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid that he won an Academy Award for. And then he also got one for screen adaptation for All the President's Men.
Wow. That's quite the breadth there.
Right.
Princess Bride, Butch Cassidy, Sundance Kid, and All the President's Men.
He also did the adaptation of Misery, Stephen King's Misery, which got Kathy Bates an Oscar for her role. He also did Stepford Wives, Marathon Man, Chaplin, the 1992 one with Robert Downey Jr., Maverick, the Mel Gibson,
Yep.
Jodie Foster one, which is also one of my favorite movies. Dreamcatcher. He also did A Few Good Men, Indecent Proposal. He worked on. So he was a prolific writer.
Yeah.
In multiple different genres.
Yeah.
And now you have to go back and rewatch everything.
Well, yeah. So he did several Stephen King adaptations: Marathon Man, Dreamcatcher, and Misery.
yeah.
I would say out of those three, Misery's the only one that Marathon Man is not like the short story at all.
Oh, yeah.
And Dreamcatcher, we went and saw that one. Remember?
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember who was. It was good.
It
wasn't great, but it was okay.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the book is a little odd too, because it's like these friends, and then they grow up, and then it kind of turns into aliens, and you're like, what happened?
And Steven was out of ideas that month. He's like, let's do aliens.
Might have been when he was on drugs.
It might have been. Well, and Stephen King writes a new book like every 5 minutes. So he just, whatever comes out, and sometimes they're amazing, and sometimes they're Marathon Man.
Go read the... Well, Marathon Man's good, but again, they didn't adapt it properly, but go read it. Like...
all 980,000 pages of it.
Yeah, it goes a little off the rails at the end.
He's one of those guys like Stan Lee, and we're going to talk about Stan Lee some more here in a little bit. But he's one of those guys who had a very full. He was 87.
Yep.
So he had a very full, very active life. It's sad to see those people leave, but I just find it funny when people are like, they're gone too soon. Dude had like an amazing life, and he was 87. Like,
yeah.
I'm sure he'd like to have stuck around longer, but I mean, and cancer sucks, but it's like
87.
87. Like,
that's
congratulations,
good. Yep.
dude. Like,
Yep.
I can be sad that he's gone, but I'm more stricken from like when Heath Ledger died, starting to kind of come into his own and that kind of thing.
Yep.
So.
Absolutely.
All right. There's 4 things that's happened since we last saw you all. Actually 5. I didn't put it on here. We went and saw Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald. We did a review. Spoilers, we liked it a lot more than everybody else did, apparently. We did do a little bit of spoiler talk, but that review I will tag to the end of this episode. We did do some spoiler talk at the end of that review, so you can listen to the review and then get away from the spoilers if you haven't seen it yet.
Right, yes.
We did Widows.
Yep.
We saw Widows and did a review.
Yep.
Spoilers, we liked that more than most people did.
50-50. I think people either got it or they didn't, which I get. Yeah, it was deeper than, and we talk about that in our review. There was a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
So
I will also tag that review at the end. Maybe I'll just put it in the description. Aquaman released their final trailer today. We were talking about it the other day about how we haven't really been getting a big push for Aquaman.
Yep. And then the trailer came out at Widows.
At Widows, yeah,
and
not Fantastic Beasts, which was like really weird.
Yeah.
But we are about a month out. It's on the 21st. So we'll
Yeah.
be getting a hard push here, probably starting now.
Right. Just seems weird that it was dead quiet, and now all of a sudden, did we need this trailer?
So I don't think we needed this trailer. If you're going, you're already going. I don't think that this trailer changes anything. It may have given away some stuff. It showed a more new stuff than they've actually shown before.
Yeah.
But they didn't really say anything in the trailer. It just showed a bunch of new scenes.
Yeah. I just feel like it's another one. I'm good. I'm good. I'm going.
Yeah, we've been waiting for 2 years for this to come out. And so,
stop showing me things I didn't ask for.
Well, we got the first trailer at San Diego in July.
Yeah.
And that seemed a little late for that. But even James Wan was like, I don't want to put anything out until it looks right.
Yeah.
And, which I actually I appreciate because the trailer looks awesome.
Yeah, and
It
there's
looks really
a lot of CGI going on there, right? I mean,
Yeah.
spoilers, everything underwater is CGI.
Right.
They're not really talking underwater.
Well, you mean they can't breathe underwater?
They could once.
And maybe twice. And then the other thing that came out trailer-wise was Once Upon a Deadpool dropped a trailer today, and it was mostly Fred Savage taped to the bed from Princess Bride. So
Again,
the circle of life. So it's Fred Savage redoing the scene from Princess Bride, and he's tied to the bed. So if there's not a misery joke in there somewhere,
yeah. I don't understand where they're going with this, but okay.
hey, they're $1 from every ticket sold is going to cancer research. So I'm
and
totally okay with all of
that's
that.
cool, I guess. I don't. We've talked about it. I'm not sure I understand. Other than the charity thing, I'm not sure I understand the purpose of this. But okay.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's some grand plan, and he'll show up in the end of Captain Marvel or whatever, and pop his head up from around the corner. Is it my turn yet? Kind of thing. That would be awesome, actually. Actually, somebody did say there was a thing going around on Facebook in the last week is with Stan Lee being gone, all of his cameos are gone, and now it should be replaced by Deadpool, except Deadpool has to show up in the Stan Lee outfit with the Deadpool mask and the mustache and the glasses. And do a Stan Lee cameo, but he's Deadpool.
Right. Weird.
It would be weird, but awesome. It would totally work.
All right.
The only other thing that we did that I want to talk about is we did a Doctor Who review. We didn't do TV talk this weekend because I had a meeting, but we did do a Doctor Who review, and I will try to tag that in here somewhere and along that line. So if you're into Doctor Who, we've been doing week-to-week reviews of those to get us ready for the New Year's special. Or something.
Right.
Or something. I don't
know.
So let's talk about what Sony decided to do this week. Sony Interactive Entertainment, as in like the PlayStation thing, will not be at E3 in 2019.
Huh.
This comes on the heels of them releasing, we have Spider-Man and Red Dead Redemption and all that stuff. And a lot of people did complain that maybe Sony didn't really have anything for E3 this last year. Now, I thought they had a good panel, but it wasn't like earth-shattering or anything like that.
It wasn't the Xbox panel.
No.
I mean, Xbox was like, boom, boom,
yeah,
boom,
they had like,
boom,
54 new titles or something like that.
It was crazy.
Their quote was, as the industry evolves, Sony Interactive Entertainment continues to look for inventive opportunities to engage the community. PlayStation fans mean the world to us, and we always want to innovate. Thank you. It's way over there, so I'm trying to read from a distance. Think differently and experiment with the new ways to delight gamers. As a result, we have decided not to participate in E3 in 2019. We are exploring new and familiar ways to engage our community in 2019, and I can't wait to share our plans with you.
Blah, blah,
Blah, blah, blah, blah. So there was some talk about, does this mean they're going to they typically the first week in December host their own event, and it's called PlayStation Experience, and it's just a fan PlayStation event, and they're not doing that this year either. And they did talk about doing adding themselves into other shows that are going on. So like, let's say San Diego Comic-Con,
right,
or the Consumer Expo that goes on. And I know that they're working on PlayStation 5, but that won't be done until, I believe, 2020.
Seems really weird that you wouldn't participate in your industry's biggest event.
Yes, which is, I'm going to say, I won't say concern. I'm not concerned by this. I am, though, intrigued that there may be something else going on in the background of Sony. I have read,
Or with whoever runs
or
E3.
whoever runs E3, right? Because it was what, 11 days last year,
Was
or was it like 10 days last year?
It's ridiculous.
Like the first weekend, one day was just Nintendo. The next day was just Microsoft. The next day was just Bethesda. Like the first 5 or 6 days, each day had their own thing, and then the second weekend was the convention floor is open for everybody to come, and they open it up to the public.
Yeah.
And you could come and play all the games and everything, which I thought was way cool.
Yeah.
We are not gamers. I play a handful of games. She plays a handful of games, but we're not like super gamers. And so having Sony announce that we're not going to be there, being a Sony guy myself, I don't understand. Does this mean that they don't have anything new, or is there a big shakeup coming for Sony?
Yeah.
Sony.
For Sony. They also have the View, right? Which Xbox doesn't. Xbox doesn't have their own streaming service. So I wonder if they're going to go more that way. Wonder if they're not seeing the return on gaming as much as they used to.
I know that Red Dead outsold Infinity War in the first weekend. It's not easy. It's not quite apples to oranges, but it's like green apples to,
Yeah, but I mean, two big names a year, right? Spider-Man came out earlier this year,
right?
And then Red Dead Redemption 2, two big games sales a year does not support a company of that size.
Well, but those, and we're ignorant in when it comes to this kind of stuff, but I believe that those both were done by a third company to go to Xbox, PlayStation, and the different platforms. So it might be Sony Entertainment or Sony Entertainment, whatever they're called, is the parent company for like a Bethesda or Boom or somebody like that.
Right.
So this sounds like to me they don't have anything that's going to blow everybody's socks off next year.
Right.
And so they don't want to show up and then get panned in the press for 8 months because they showed up to E3 and didn't have a huge panel.
Right.
They had a little panel like, here's a handful of games we're going to do, and woohoo.
Yeah. Again, because they have a streaming service, and they have there's a PlayStation channel on that, isn't there?
Yeah.
And so maybe it's Sony Entertainment. Sony was music and movies and so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you guys know more about this, please let us know, because I find this interesting. I find some of the industry stuff when it comes to gaming systems, movie companies, production companies. Like, I find all that very interesting. The high level of different things that are going on and the moving and shaking and different things that go on. I find that highly interesting. And so if you guys know something more than we do, please leave us a comment. If you're listening to us on Podomatic, you can get a hold of us on the Facebook group or Twitter and let us know there too.
Yep.
Because I don't understand. This is for me. This is Marvel not showing up to San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And not even having a booth. Like they're not even going. They're not even going to be they're not going to do anything. So
yeah.
It's one thing to
weird.
have Marvel say, "Hey, we're not going to be there for our movies, but here's all the comic books."
Yeah.
That kind
Yeah.
of thing. So that just seems weird to me.
Yeah.
We want to talk about the weekend box office for just 1 second. The weekend box office was dominated pretty much by Fantastic Beasts. It made 62 million here in the States. It was projected between 70 and 75. The first one did about 75 for its opening. So if you listen to the pundits that are online, who we go to make sure that our opinions make at least a little bit of sense before we get on here,
Right.
have all said it's a disappointing opening for Crimes of Grindelwald.
Majority have said that it's well, I don't know if I'd say disappointing. The ones that I heard talk about the numbers were like, it's about what we kind of expected.
Right.
I mean,
right.
62 and 70, it's close.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What's the difference of $8 million?
Right.
And actually, it's not that big of a difference for us. $8 million is a huge thing. For this, is not.
Right.
But the big thing is that it made $253 million total worldwide.
Right.
Which covers its budget and half of the advertising.
Right. And I mean, here in the States, we're coming up on a 4-day weekend. So, potentially it could have some legs over the weekend.
Right.
Internationally, they don't celebrate Thanksgiving. Spoilers. So that's, but, I expect it to still have some steam internationally.
It might be around 35 to 40 next weekend.
Yeah.
The only thing that really comes out that's huge is Creed 2 this week.
Right.
There's a bunch of other movies that are coming out, but that's the only big one. And the only other movie that's kind of family centric right now is The Grinch. Its second weekend was 38.5 million. I think it's 125 they've made in 3 weeks. In 2 weeks, sorry. 152 in 2 weeks. And so that's just showing the staying power of and it's showing the staying power of Benedict Cumberbatch. Really, that's what's going on. It's not like we're doing a.
I don't think it's Benedict Cumberbatch. I think
I'm going with that.
It's just a holiday movie.
I'm going with it because we've seen Grinch, and Benedict is the only reason that I want to go see it.
You're also not 5,
Well, sometimes.
and you don't have a 5-year-old at home.
No.
So
Bohemian Rhapsody keeps just trucking along. 16 for this weekend. 385 in 3 weeks.
I think they'll take that.
They will totally take that. The only other one that I really the two that I wanted to talk about was Insta Family with Mark Wahlberg. A bunch of people have said it's really, really good.
Yep.
I don't know if it's something we'll see. I got like 10 other movies I want to see right now outside of that one. But everybody said it was really good. $14 million opening is probably pretty good for that. It might be affected by the last couple of was it Daddy's Home or whatever he did with Will Ferrell.
Yeah. That was stuff I heard from people online talking about it. Was that's what they thought when they went to see it. Some of them, went and saw screeners. Some of them didn't go to the screeners. They used other screeners instead because of that.
Right.
And then found out that it was actually a pretty decent movie. So, I don't know if we'll go see it in the theater. Maybe it'll be a rental or something.
Or it pops up on HBO or something like that.
Yeah.
And we're like,
we just have too much other stuff to
Yeah,
watch right now.
And the other one is Widows. Widows opened for $12 million, which I think is probably pretty low for what they were expecting. With the cast and Steve McQueen directing and that kind of thing.
And that hasn't opened internationally at all yet?
No. Yes, it has, but only made like $7 million on the international openings. Instant Family only opened in the States this
Okay.
last weekend, so
Okay.
it might have a little bit more legs to it. I'm sure they didn't spend a ton of money on Instant Family, but Widows, they spent like $45 or $50 million on it. Most
It might be one of those ones that sticks around for a while if it starts to get some Oscar buzz
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Viola Davis, especially.
and probably I think Steve McQueen will actually be in the conversation for directing and for original screenplay.
Yeah.
But I just
possibly.
don't know if it's going to be. There's just too much extremes that either you loved it or you hate it. There's no like, it was okay. And so I think
Yeah,
a lot of that's
yeah,
going to affect
yeah.
how people go to vote for award season.
I think it's going to be interesting too, especially going into December. I'm wondering if there is movie fatigue, if there is pocketbook fatigue, and with all the movies coming out in December,
Yeah.
how much that's going to affect
Yeah.
some of these movies like Mary Poppins and Aquaman, some of the bigger ones that people are just going to be like, I just don't know what to go watch.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I'm gonna kind of try to keep track of how the overall box office does in the next 4 weeks.
Yeah,
And see
yeah.
how it is.
There's only so many movie dollars that people have to spend, and when there's 50 movies in 1 month, you're just
Right.
diluting that, right?
So books, so movies like Green Book or
There's 2 period movies, the Mary Queen of Scots one,
oh
and then
yeah,
the
I forgot about that one. The Favorite.
The Favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which are both movies we want to see, and we probably will see it because we have the AMC A list. But if you are a family of 4, you're gonna go see Aquaman or Fantastic Beasts
Or Mary
or Mary
Poppins.
Poppins. You're not, or if you have younger kids, you're going to see Grinch.
Yeah.
So you're not going to go out of your way to go see some of these other movies, and so I'm just wondering how that's going to happen.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to do my very best to keep an even keel in this next story. I am going to preface everything I'm about to say with I am actually a Bill Maher fan. I don't always agree with his opinion. I don't always agree with his way he gives his opinion. But his statements about Stan Lee last week are ignorant, foolish, and scream, look at me, look at me. I'm going to use a death of somebody else to get my name in the paper.
Maybe. I don't know why he has.
He's made
said
a
what he
living off of saying outrageous things and not backing down from them.
Right, but generally when he says things, they are thought-provoking and have some sort of credence or legitimacy. You may not agree with it, but it's factual or
Right.
realistic. Where what he said is pretty much it's just mean spirited.
It's mean spirited, and it comes across as somebody who is an elitist. And I don't know Tolstoy. I couldn't pick him out in a crowd. I couldn't read something from Tolstoy and say, this is Tolstoy. So I don't comment on it. I don't go out of my way to tell somebody who does like Tolstoy that you're an idiot for liking it.
Right.
I have been vocal, not necessarily on this show, but I've been vocal of my mistrust and mislike of organized religions in the past. However, if you want to, I learned about it, and I have a point of view, and I have an opinion, and it's different from your opinion, and I'm totally okay with having a conversation about that. What he has been saying, what he said about this was, he called people who, the way I read it, I will read his words in a minute, but the way I read it was, you're an ignorant idiot for liking comic books, and you shouldn't be reading them, and you're the reason Trump got elected, and that's not fair for anybody who's ever read comics, especially adults who read comics.
Right. Right.
There's stuff in it. Now, his quotes, there's this 3-paragraph thing. I kind of took it down to where it's manageable. He started off by saying the guy who created Spider-Man and the Hulk has died, and America is in mourning. Deep, deep mourning for a man who inspired millions. Sounds great. To, I don't know, watch a movie, I guess. That smacks of someone who, A, has never read a comic, or B, understands what comics can and should be.
Right. I mean, yeah.
In one sentence.
First of all, if you've read any of Stan Lee, Jack Kirby's stuff, even DC stuff, too, like the older stuff was very like before its time, like
socially aware.
Yeah,
and yeah,
you know, putting women in powerful positions and black people in powerful positions,
right.
And you know,
Stan Lee created Black Panther in the 60s,
right
at the height of the
before the actual Black Panther,
right before the Black Panther movement
organization.
They actually went by a different name for a while because they didn't want to be associated with the comic. He also went on to say they pretended comic books were actually sophisticated literature. Now, I'm gonna read a thing that POW Entertainment, which was Stan Lee's parent company, the company that his company and stuff. I'm gonna read a statement from them in a minute. Throughout history, there has been a group of people who've always questioned the literature of the time, whether it be Tolstoy, Shakespeare, Homer, whoever. And there's always people who question the validity of that literature of the time. We have great American authors right now. We have great authors worldwide. Comic books is just one thing that people use as a creative outlet, but also an outlet to talk about social injustice and wage, not garnishments, discrimination and abuse and bullying and stuff like that. It's also happening in books. It's also happening in magazines. It's also happening on television. It's also happening in movies. And the last thing that he said here, last thing that I pulled out at least, is I don't think it's a huge stretch to suggest. I'm going to try that again. I don't think it's a huge stretch to suggest that Donald Trump could only get elected in a country that thinks comic books are important.
One has nothing to do with the other. You have people who grew up reading comic books who are now adults. You have people who grew up, with gaming that are now adults.
Right.
You have, one has nothing to do with the other. Maybe if the people who elected Trump actually read a comic book once in a while, maybe he wouldn't have gotten elected. Maybe they would be a little more socially aware.
We try really hard not to get political on this show. We try really hard. But when something like this happens with somebody that we admire Bill Maher for what he has done and how he,
I don't know if I'd say admire.
Okay. It's somebody we appreciate.
Appreciate, yes.
It's somebody we appreciate because he's not afraid, like we've talked about not being afraid of stepping out and saying something that can be abrasive. But also he comes from a point of view of making you think about it, whatever.
Right.
But to lump people in to a group is everything that you're trying to go against. You publicly talk about not being misogynistic, racist, you're a super liberal guy who wants to be able to have more freedom for your gay friends, your transsexual friends, your female friends, your different races of friends. And then you get on there and you lump everybody in who likes a comic book. Oh, by the way, Kevin Smith has publicly talked about how he learned right from wrong from comics that Stan Lee wrote.
Yeah.
He didn't read it from the good book. He read it from comic books.
Right.
And that not everybody learns and gets stuff from the same sources. Just because you read one book and get something out of it doesn't mean that I'm going to read it and she's going to read it and get something else out of it.
Yeah.
I hate that. I wasn't going to talk about this. I really don't want to talk about it because it really makes me mad. It makes me mad that somebody would use this platform of an important person in the culture of the world. I'm going to put it that way. His death, the body is still at the morgue, and he jumps out there and starts running his mouth about and jumping on the coattails of somebody's death. And it's like, you know what? You can have that opinion. I'm totally okay with that. And if you want to have this discussion in 3 weeks or a month, not 3 days after the freaking guy dies, it just pisses me off.
Yeah. It's just, I go back to, it's just mean-spirited. It proves nothing. You know, typically he has been, again, someone who may say something that everybody's thinking, but nobody wants to say out loud, or something that is divisive, but makes you think, makes you stop and think and question your own beliefs or thoughts or whatever. That's
what Real Time with Bill Maher's HBO is all about.
Right, right. And his religiosity, that movie that he did. But this serves no purpose. It's
other than to get your name in the paper.
It's just mean. Yeah.
Okay, on getting talked about on the internet.
Yeah, and now
nobody reads the paper
anymore,
and if you do, you're, whatever. But yeah, just getting your name out there for free. And I just that's why I didn't want to talk about it, because that was how I felt that he was going to do, why he did it and stuff. I'm going to read this statement from POW Entertainment because it's awesome.
You gonna read this whole thing?
It's actually
long.
It's long, but it's not too bad. It's pretty easy.
All right.
Mr. Marr, this is from POW Entertainment. Mr. Marr, comic books, like all literature, are storytelling devices. When written well by great creators such as Stan Lee, they make us feel, make us think, and teach us lessons that hopefully make us better human beings. One lesson Stan taught so many of us was tolerance and respect. And thanks to that message, we are grateful that we can say you have a right to your opinion that comics are childish and unsophisticated. Many say the same about Dickens, Steinbeck, Melville, and even Shakespeare. But to say Stan merely inspired people to, quote, watch a movie is, in our opinion, frankly, disgusting. Countless people can attest to how Stan inspired them to read, taught them that the world is not made up of absolutes, that heroes can have flaws, and even villains can show humanity within their souls. He gave us the X-Men, Black Panther, Spider-Man, and many other heroes and stories that offered hope to those who felt different and bullied, while inspiring countless to be creative and dream of great things to come. These are but a few of the things we, the fans of Stan Lee, also consider adulting, quote, quote, because life both as a child and a grown-up can indeed be a struggle. Stan is the author of millions of happy childhood memories and the provider of so many of the positive tools of adulthood. Our shock at your comments makes us want to say, "Nuff said, Bill." But instead, we will rely on another of Stan's lessons that remind you that you have a powerful platform. So please remember, quote, with great power, there must also come great responsibility. Team Stan. That's a dropping of the microphone. Yeah, you're right. Your opinion is totally correct, and you're wrong.
Well, your opinion is not correct. You have the
you have the right to it, but it's a wrong opinion.
Yeah. Yep.
And I love the fact that they just, pretty much defending their guy. They're defending Stan there a little, but they also were polite in their telling him to, I'm going to swear, fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it's just, I said it, it's just mean-spirited.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't understand.
I don't care how you live your life. It's almost like he's become the other side, right?
Yeah.
Don't tell me how to live my life, but now you're telling other people how to live their life.
Don't tell me how to live my life, but let me tell you how to live yours.
Yeah.
And that's some horse manure.
That's pretty hypocritical.
And that's
he just lost all respect. Well, not just. I mean, as soon as I started, reading about this and hearing about it, yeah. Your credibility just went out the window. I'm done with you.
We're done with you. You can go now.
You can go now. Go off in your
live in the hills somewhere.
Corner with your blonde strippers and your bong.
And your tinfoil hats. That's our show this week. Let us know what you thought of Bill Maher's comments, and if you know why Sony pulled out of E3. If you have more information, please let us know. Let us know. Like, we're really interested in what's going on. You are already been here this long. Please subscribe to the channel. Share with your friends. I've already asked you to do that. I'm going to ask you again. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video, whatever. Get a hold of us too on our social media network. We're on Facebook at Pop Culture Cult. We're Pop Culture Cult 1 on Instagram. We're Pop_Cult 1 on Twitter. We're also Pop Culture Cult on YouTube. So if you're on Podomatic, go to YouTube and click to subscribe there. If you're on YouTube, go to Podomatic. We're Pop Culture Cult and follow us there.
So many places to go.
Yeah, it's called expanding our brand, and it's more coming. And until next time, good night, cult members.